ETV online channel. In the service of the Filipino online world.
Aiming at the abolition of the death penalty and ratified it on November 20, 2007. Under Article 1 of this protocol, state parties have agreed that, number 1, no one within the jurisdiction of a state party to the present protocol shall be executed. Number 2, each state party shall take all necessary measures to abolish the death penalty within its jurisdiction. With the death penalty law archived in the annals of our legislative mills, and with the ratification of second optional protocol, the country has witnessed the horrors of increasing trend of crime rates, particularly those that involve drug trafficking. According to a news article published in January 29, 2017, the Philippines saw a decrease in crime rate when the death penalty was imposed for heinous crimes in 1993. Crime rate decreased from 145.7 in 1993 to 98 in 1998. Based on official data from the Philippine National Police, please show the PowerPoint presentation. The graph, yung graph. The graph, yeah. Based on the official data from Philippine National Police, there was a decreasing trend in the number of heinous crimes committed from the time the death penalty was restored in 1993 through RA 7659. Hence, the 17,166 heinous crimes recorded that year, this number drastically went down to 12,636 in 2005. A year before RA 9346, the anti-death penalty law was enacted. If you can see on the graph, Mr. President, it is a declining trend. PNP statistics shows that from 12,080 heinous crimes committed in 2006, this number of cases horribly increased to 23,099 in 2016. That's the second graph. The trend is very much increasing. Nagpatuloy ang pananalasa ng karahasang dulot ng bawal na gamot sa ating bansa. Marahil sa pag-iisip ng mga gumagamit ng droga, madaling lusutan ang krimen at posibleng bilhin ang hustisya. Habang ang buong bansa ay nagtitiis sa mga karumal-dumal na krimen sa ating lipunan, dumarami pa ang mga insidente ng drug trafficking na patuloy na naghahasik ng kasamaan sa ating mamamayan. Idagdag pa natin dito ang aking personal na karanasan sa loob ng Bilibid when I was the Director General of the Bureau of Corrections, wherein ako'y sinabihan ng isang prominent na Chinese drug lord, convicted drug lord, na, "Sir, kung gusto niyo talagang matakot kami na mag-traffic ng drugs sa Pilipinas, ibalik niyo ang death penalty. Kaya namin paborito ang Pilipinas na bahain ng Cebu dahil wala kayong death penalty dito. At kahit na kami mahuli at kami ay makonbikto, pag kami nakakulong dito sa Bilibid, kahit anong effort ninyo dyan na patayin ang signal, ubusin ang aming mga cellphone dito sa loob para wala kaming komunikasyon sa aming drug network sa labas, hindi pa rin yan obra, sir. Dahil hindi ninyo mababawal ang aming visitation rights. Dahil pag kami ay inyong pinigilan sa aming visitation rights, kami pupunta sa human rights. Because that is our basic human rights to be visited by our loved ones. So, ang aming transaksyon sa illegal na droga ay hindi na dumadaan sa signal ng internet o ng cellphone, kundi face-to-face contact na sa aming mga anak, sa aming asawa, sa aming mahal na sa buhay na pupunta dito sa Bilibid. So, patuloy pa rin yung kanilang ginagawang drug transaction. And it was really observed that every time a big hole of drugs were confiscated anywhere in the Philippines, it traces back inside the bilibid. Pupunta pa rin doon, pabalik doon. Ibig sabihin, sabi nga ng mga drug lord doon, pag nandito na kami sa loob ng bilibid, hindi na kami takot mahuli dahil kami nahuli na. Hindi ka na kami takot na makulong dahil kami nakakulong na. So, define bilibid as safe haven for the continuance of their drug trade. While the anti-death penalty enforced and with the country's international commitment through the ratification of the second optional protocol, it may be interesting to analyze the corresponding actions taken by our government in the midst of the current law and order situation in the country. Close scrutiny of the events reveals these facts. Congress continued to propose legislative measures reviving the death penalty law. There have been 29 death penalty bills filed in the House of Representatives since the 15th Congress, with one committee report in the 17th Congress until the current Congress. On the other hand, there have been 24 death penalty bills in the Senate since 14th Congress and several committee hearings conducted by the Committees on Justice and Human Rights and on Public Order and Dangerous Drugs during the 14th to the 17th Congress. Last year, our esteemed colleague, Senator Manny Pacquiao, delivered a privileged speech on the revival of the capital punishment. In his said speech, the good gentleman from Sarangani called for the reimposition of the death penalty for heinous crimes, particularly for drug trafficking. This is another positive indication that, at the very least, the need for rational and informed discourse on capital punishment is still alive, waiting to be deliberated on by this body. One therefore begins to ponder on the following questions. Are we in Congress precluded from the post measures on the revival of death penalty in view of our international commitment under the second optional protocol on ICCPR? If the Philippines is a signatory to that second protocol, is it necessarily restrained from passing laws that would restore death penalty? If this is so, how do we reconcile our international obligations to observe this protocol with our duty to abide by the constitutional mandate to provide or reimpose death penalty for compelling reasons involving heinous crimes? If Congress decides to deliberate on the death penalty bills and eventually to pass them into law, is the Philippines compelled to withdraw its signature and ratification from the second optional protocol? As we consider the answers to these questions, the country meanwhile continues to suffer the effects of one of the grievous ills in our society, which is drug trafficking. Drug trafficking is a serious offense. The United Nations Office of Drug and Crime defines drug trafficking as a global illicit trade involving the cultivation, manufacture, distribution, and sale of substances which are subject to drug prohibition laws. Under Section 3, Paragraph R of RA 9165, illegal trafficking is defined as the illegal cultivation, culture, delivery, administration, dispensation, manufacture, sale, trading, transportation, distribution, importation, exportation, and possession of any dangerous drug and or controlled precursor and essential chemical. Recent cases of drug trafficking all over the country have demonstrated the callous conscience of drug offenders. On the morning of March 14, 2020, approximately 330 grams of shabu worth 5.2 million pesos was confiscated in Davao City, resulting to the arrest of 6 individuals. On May 19, 2020, ang lahat, Mr. President, ay mga pangyayari during the pandemic. 11 Chinese nationals and 1 Filipina were arrested in separate buy-bust operations in Manila and Parañaque. The total amount of suspected shabu seized was 41 grams with a street value of 278,000. May 22, 2020, the PNP and CRPO operatives and the PNP Drug Enforcement Group neutralized 2 drug suspects, recovering 81.6 million worth of illegal drugs. This was in Taguig City. In Bohol, 5 individuals were arrested last May 25, 2020, and 40 million worth of suspected shabu was confiscated in separate buy-bust operations conducted by the Bohol PDEA. The Philippine National Police raided a house in Marilao, Bulacan last June 4, 2020. This police operation yielded 756 kilograms of suspected shabu with an estimated value of
Merong sakit.
5.14 billion
82,040.
from a billion pesos from a Chinese national identified as Yuan Kai and 2 local constituents. The anti-narcotics operatives of the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency arrested Sultan operation were worth of were it not for the highly sensitive intelligence work of our PNP and the PDEA and their close enforcement agencies, these voluminous drugs would have found drug traced in many of whom have derived an enormous amount of money by trading these illegal substances. And as the vicious cycle of drug buyers of these illegal drugs continue to plague the society by acts committed under the influence of prohibited drugs. Ito po ang paulit-ulit na malungkot tungkol sa naidudulot ng droga sa ating mamamayan. Walang kahit sa taong amidst the COVID-19 pandemic and in the middle of untold sufferings of our countrymen and women, insensitive drug traffickers have continued their illegal trade among drug dealers and their salivating patrons. Isa lang habang pulisan ang community quarantine, sinamantala ito ng mga drug traffickers sa pagpasok ng na droga. Galing ang ating PNP at PDEA at nahuli ang mga ito. Mr. Presentation is aware of the country's obligations to fulfill its commitments to international treaties, conventions, and other agreements, including protocols. However, this representation seeks the kind indulgence of this august chamber to, at the very least, deliberate on the issue of death penalty in the country. Can we not objectively study the present crime scenarios, particularly those involving drug trafficking, its evil effects on our society and people? Is it not our corresponding constitutional duty as lawmakers to protect our people from the snares of criminality? Granted, there will be those who will say that the death penalty has not been proven to be a deterrent to the commission of heinous crimes and drug trafficking. But in response, I say, let us not close our doors to the possibility of discussion. Let us enrich statistical data with reasoned discourse in the proper fora. For the victims of heinous crimes and drug abuse are surely more than sapat, Ginoong Pangulo, ang milyon-milyong halaga ng droga na umiikot sa bawat sulok ng ating bansa? Hindi pa ba sapat ang maraming buhay na nakitil at kinabukasan na naglaho dahil sa patuloy na pagdami ng droga sa ating lipunan? The enjoyment of the right to life as envisioned in the second optional protocol and enshrined in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights is indeed important. But have we not considered that this right may only be fully exercised if and when the people are safe from all forms of dangers, including the evils of drugs? I lay down this concern before this body with a fervent hope that all of us will heed the call of duty to put an end to the malady of drug trafficking vis-a-vis the death penalty. Let us begin the discussion on this important issue. Let us hear both sides of the arguments, whether for or against the reimposition of capital punishment in cases involving drug trafficking. Let our minds and hearts speak so that in the end, we may rest in the knowledge that we have armored our people with sufficient shield against the abysmal effects of drug trafficking in the country. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President, there are several persons who want to, Mr. President, there are several persons who want to manifest and interpolate. With the permission of the interpolators, maybe we can allow those who will manifest quickly their support, as they had asked me to do. May we recognize, Mr. President, after which those who are manifesting, Mr. President, Senator Bongo and Senator PACQUIAO, and then to start the interpellation, Senator Tolentino. I'm sure a minority floor leader would like to also interpolate. And Senator Pangilinan as well, and Senator Ontiveros, as well as Senator Gordon, because I believe he's the expert when it comes to the international convention that was ratified. So, Mr. President, may we recognize Senator Bongo, Mr. President.
Are you serious, Majority Leader? You listed about 7 or 8 who would want to interpolate. You know, in 1992, 1993, we took 1 year to interpolate this bill.
That's correct, Mr. President.
It would be very good research if we could all ask for a copy of the journals. Everything under the sun was debated in that year. But nevertheless, I hope we will be able to terminate by 5:30. So let's start with Senator Bongo.
Mr. President, it appears that Senator Bongo is not yet ready. May we request
Yes.
for
Andito na.
Mr. President.
Ayan na. Senator Bongo is recognized.
Mr. President, I would like to echo Senator Bato de la Rosa and express my support for the reimposition of death penalty for certain heinous crimes. Last year, I filed Senate Bill number 207 seeking to amend Republic Act 9346, which abolished the death penalty as a punishment in the Philippines. In addition to the strengthened campaign of law enforcers to eradicate illegal drugs and criminality, reimposing the death penalty can be a strong deterrent for the commission of heinous crimes. In effect, if we can stop crimes from happening, unfortunate encounters in police operations will also be avoided, and lives of both police and the public can be protected. Idaan na lang po sa legal na proseso kaysa naman po na pagbibintangan ng gobyerno po at marami pang nagbubuwis na ng buhay dahil po sa mga police operations. The proliferation of heinous crimes ignited the call for a tougher and more stance against crimes that have plague the security and development of the nation. Illegal and dangerous drugs have been a recurring cause of suffering for families and individuals in the country, and that there is no question that this societal problem can destroy the basic institution of the family. As President Duterte said in his State of the Nation address, this measure will not only help us deter criminality, but also save our children from the dangers posed by illegal and dangerous drugs. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President, may we recognize
Senator
Manny Pacquiao.
Senator Sabiri, can you please make your microphone louder?
Yes. Mr. President, we'd like to recognize Senator Manny Pacquiao, after which to start the interpellation, Senator Tolentino.
Senator Manny Pacquiao is recognized.
Naka-mute po si kumpadre. Kumpadre, you're on mute.
Thank you, Mr. President. Nakakalungkot po, nasa gitna ng pandemya, marami pa rin po ang mga mapagsamantala na drug facturers at traffickers. Wala silang pinipili na lugar at panahon. Pinagsamantalahan nila ang kahinaan ng ating mga kababayan. Narapat lamang na parusahan ang mga drug manufacturers at traffickers dahil ang kanilang nasa isip ay kung paano palalong magpayaman. Sir President, on my first year as a senator in the 17th Congress, I filed the Senate Bill number 185, an act imposing death penalty and increased the penalties on certain heinous crimes which involves manufacturing and trafficking of dangerous drugs. When we started at the 18th Congress in July 2019, I filed Senate Bill number 189 as one of my priority measures. I have always believed that the future of our nation is in danger due to the extent of drug use instigating heinous crimes. This is despite the country's efforts on drugs supply and demand reduction programs. Mr. President, I am with Senator BATO de la Rosa in pushing to the imposition of death penalty on certain heinous crimes. Kasama naman natin sila si Senator Bungo at si Senator Wayne Gatchalian. Papasalamat ako sa kanilang suporta rin at sila ay nag-file din ng same version imposition ng death penalty. Alam ko po na mahaba pong ang explanation about sa reimposition ng death penalty. Maraming mga kontra, maraming pabor, nahahati po yung mind ng tao. Pero gusto ko lang pong i-explain sa lahat na ang pag-reinstate ng death penalty sa bansa natin hindi po illegal, hindi po labag sa mata ng gobyerno, sa mata ng Panginoon. Dahil biblically po allowed po ang gobyerno, the authority which is established by God to impose heinous crimes, especially death penalty. So it's a long explanation, but later on in discussion I can also help to discuss and explain properly about the imposition of death penalty. Biblically and constitutionally, alam natin lahat na in our constitution, death penalty was never abolished. Never abolished. Or else, tanggalin natin yung Article 3, Section 19. Excessive fines shall not be imposed, no cruel, degrading, or inhuman punishment inflicted. Neither shall death penalty be imposed unless for compelling reason involving crime. So, tandaan po natin yan. Gusto lang po natin na bigyan ng linaw ang buong sambayan ng Pilipino. Maganda yung may discussion. But before I end my manifestation, Mr. President, I would like to clarify, may I clarify the status of the committee referral of the bills pertaining the reposition of death penalty, Mr. President.
Like and subscribe. Watch the previous video. Thank you for watching.